There are some other questions that you should ask as well. The first is, what kind of cervical softener do you typically use? There are typically 3 different types. The first is called Cytotec, also known as misoprostol, and also known as miso. This is a drug that is not approved by the FDA for use on pregnant moms. The drug manufacturer has actually sent out a letter saying do not use it on moms because it can cause damage, harm to mom and baby, has caused death in mom and baby. And actually on the bottle itself there's a picture of a pregnant woman with a line through it. So this is not a drug that personally I would want to use, and it's important to ask now if they routinely use that drug, because I've had 2 different moms in different places in the United States who have gotten induced, and their care provider says this is our only option. We only use Cytotec. If you were to find out that they only had Cytotec, that might be a reason you'd want to choose to change care providers to a different location or a different care provider that had another option available to you. And changing earlier again is easier than changing later. The second and more common and FDA approved option for softening a cervix is called Cervidil. And there are some minimal risks with this as it is a medication, but it has been tested and it does help to soften the cervix in starting an induction. And usually this is the first step, the softening of the cervix, before they use Pitocin. Another option for softening your cervix is called a Foley bulb. It's basically like a balloon that helps to stretch open the cervix, and it will fall out when mom gets dilated to about 3 to 4 centimeters. And there's very low risk in this as there's no medication. Some care providers will even place a Foley bulb and then let mom go home. It will fall out on its own, and then her birthing time will hopefully start with the help of that, or she'll come back the next day to start Pitocin. So let's talk now about Pitocin. This is a man-made oxytocin which helps mom's pressure waves to start, or it helps to strengthen them. There is a difference between pressure waves that start on a mom's own timetable and pressure waves that start with Pitocin. In your body, oxytocin is released in short spurts, and so your pressure waves are going to be more like little hills rolling, and there might be breaks between them. You might have a big hill and then a little hill and then a break and then a big hill, and it's much gentler. With Pitocin, because it's directly into your bloodstream and it's not in spurts, it's just continuous, it tends to have a stronger, more frequent pattern going. So I view it more like a table mesa, where it goes, pressure wave all of a sudden starts and it's really strong and it lasts long, and then it stops, then it starts, and then it stops. And there's not as much of a lull between them, and they tend to be stronger than normal mom-made pressure waves, if you will. There are some ways to make a Pitocin induction go more smoothly, and we'll talk to that a little bit in our tips on if you do choose to be induced. One other option that sometimes care providers do is they'll have a mom come in and they'll break her bag of waters, which is called artificial rupture of membranes. There are some risks to this in the fact that then that barrier between the outside world and inside world is broken, and it puts you on a time clock. Usually within 24 hours to 48 hours they want to see the baby born. It can also cause added stress on the baby. The amniotic fluid creates a cushion around the baby, which helps them to tolerate birthing time more easily. So if you choose to have that broken, it can sometimes cause more stress for the baby than if your water remains intact. So it's something you'd want to ask questions about, and if you do get induced, a mom might choose to keep her waters intact for a longer period of time. There are no studies that prove that breaking one's water will actually start a birthing time, so it is not necessarily guaranteed that it will work, and may then lead to needing Pitocin or other interventions. By now, you are probably thinking, I don't want an induction unless it is truly medically necessary. So how can I avoid an unnecessary induction? Well, let me tell you the 5 easiest ways. The first is to choose a care provider that only recommends an induction if it is truly medically needed. We just went over some questions to ask your care provider early in your pregnancy to determine their feelings on inductions. This is a good start, but you might also want to ask around to your local childbirth educators and birth doulas about your care provider to see what their experiences have been with them. The second thing you can do is take an independent childbirth class, which means a childbirth class not given in a hospital setting. This will allow you to learn the facts in an unbiased environment, and also you'll find that typically your childbirth educator is a great resource for your pregnancy and birth needs. The third thing is to refuse routine late-term ultrasounds. If your pregnancy is low risk and you're doing well and the baby's doing well, then there's no medical need to do one. If there's something specific that comes up in a mom's situation, maybe for instance her care provider isn't sure if her baby is head down or not, then an ultrasound would be a good choice to make sure that the baby's in the right position. But to routinely do an ultrasound on every single mom at late term is not medically necessary. Sometimes moms think it's no big deal to have an ultrasound. They're excited to see their baby, but what often happens is the care provider then finds a reason to suggest an induction from the ultrasound results. Typically, your baby looks like it's getting too big. Another way to avoid an induction is that if an induction is suggested by your care provider, ask a lot of questions. Why do they want to have this induction? Are you okay? Is the baby okay? Then do your research. See if what they're saying is really medically indicative of an induction. Watch out for something that is known as a sneaky induction. I have a great story about this of one of my doula clients who went to her care provider on a Friday afternoon appointment. Her doctor checked her and found her to be 3 centimeters dilated. Her doctor said, "Oh, it looks like you're in your birthing time. You need to go over to the hospital right now. We'll have your baby." Well, she called me to tell me this, and I said, "Are you having any pressure waves?" She said, "No." And I said, "I think what's happening is the doctor basically wants to induce you. And you'll go in and the doctor will want to break your water. And then if things don't start on their own, she's going to suggest Pitocin." We talked through her options and I suggested she call back her care provider and find out exactly what was going on. And she did, and that's exactly what the care provider wanted to do. Now that my doula client understood this situation, now she could make a choice. Did she want to go in and be induced, or did she want to wait until her birthing time actually started on its own? This is an example of a sneaky induction. The care provider never said, "Oh, I'm going to induce you." The care provider just said, "Oh, you're in your birthing time. Go on over and we'll help things along." I can't help but wonder if her appointment had been on a Monday or Tuesday, if the care provider would have just said, "Oh, you're 3 centimeters. We'll probably see you later in the week," and sent her home. So maybe another tip should be, don't schedule appointments for later in the week. Schedule them for Monday or Tuesday. Would you like to learn about some low-risk alternatives to inductions? The first is acupressure. This is a natural technique that many moms have used to help their birthing time start, and I actually have a link to a great booklet on the link page for you. The next one is hypnosis. Many moms have also used hypnosis to help their birthing time start, and I have a great link to a Hypnobabies MP3 called Baby Come Out, which is a wonderful alternative to a medical induction. Another one is sex. As long as your water hasn't broken, having sex can sometimes help your birthing time to start. The old adage, what got you into this can get you out of it. And there's 2 aspects to it. One is orgasming. That's a nice benefit because those contractions can help your uterus get going. And then also the prostaglandins in the semen can help soften your cervix. So if you do choose to have sex, that's great. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And then if you lay there with your bum on some pillows and let the semen sit on your cervix for a little bit, that can help soften your cervix as well. If sex isn't appealing to you, some moms also use evening primrose oil as an option to help soften their cervix. So that's something you can look into as well. I also have a link to a wonderful eggplant parmesan recipe that supposedly helps a mom's birthing time begin. That sounds like a yummy low-risk alternative. Patience is probably your best tool in avoiding an induction. Basically, do nothing. Just know and trust that your baby knows when the best time to be born is. If a mom finds herself in a situation where she is making the choice to get induced, here are some tips to help her still enjoy her birth. First, it's very important that she understands why she is getting induced and make sure that she agrees with that reason. I enjoy reading labor and delivery nurses' blogs and find them very fascinating. One nurse shared her frustration with how often moms come in to get induced and they don't even know why they're getting induced. Their care provider had just said, well, it's time for you to get induced, and they go to the hospital to get induced. If a mom chooses to get induced and she understands why she's getting induced, it's going to really help in her attitude towards that induction. The second thing to remember is that the mom is still in charge. She can ask questions about any intervention they want to do. She can still say no to them or ask to wait an hour or two before adding another intervention. It is not a race to get your baby out the fastest. It's just choosing to help encourage your baby to come out. If a mom chooses to be induced, she does need to remain flexible. She is in charge, but by agreeing to an induction, she is potentially going to have to change some of her birth preferences. I have seen many moms get induced, and some do great unmedicated, and some choose to get an unplanned epidural or some other unplanned interventions because it was the best choice for them at the time. And that's okay. By remaining flexible, they're able to still enjoy their birth no matter what direction it takes. Part of being flexible is accepting the idea that the tools that you're using, such as Cervidil or Pitocin, are tools that are going to help you have your baby. Don't be afraid of them. Rather, look at them as tools that are going to help you. I have seen a few moms that are so scared of Pitocin that they ask for an epidural before the Pitocin has even started. If you're turning the Pitocin up slowly, then the pressure waves can be very manageable, and it's much better to wait to get an epidural until you have progressed further along. So you can still choose to get an epidural, but you might want to wait until the Pitocin has been going for a while, until you have a really good pattern and some more cervical changes have been made. This will increase the likelihood that your induction will be successful. So please, if you choose to have an induction, embrace the choices that you make along the way. Welcome them. See them as tools to help you rather than as something to be afraid of. That attitude can be a huge difference in how you feel about your birth. My next tip is probably one of the most important, and that is up the Pitocin slowly. If a mom is choosing to be induced, she and her birth partner should watch the nurses each time they come into the room carefully. Typically, the nurse will just go over to the Pitocin machine and turn it up without asking or even telling the mom what she's doing. There's something in the birth world known as pit to distress, and this is when they just turn the Pitocin up every 15 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 15 minutes, no matter what's happening to the mom, until the baby starts showing signs of distress. At that point, they'll stop turning it up. Well, really, this is silly, and a mom should try to avoid this because it's better to just turn it up slowly, and once her body has started a regular pattern of pressure waves, don't turn it up anymore. Or wait 30 minutes to turn it up instead of 15 minutes, or even 45 minutes. See what happens with your body. Some of the most enjoyable births that I've seen where the moms are getting induced, we make sure we do exactly that. As her doula, I'm able to help her with this, but moms even without doulas can do this. In one situation, a mom made sure that her care provider was okay with this, and her nurse knew, and the nurse turned the Pitocin up 2 milliliters every 45 minutes. And within 2.5 hours, the mom was having a really good pressure wave pattern on her own, and we didn't turn it up anymore. And after about another hour, we actually turned it down a bit. And mom was able to have a beautiful, easy, enjoyable birth, even with an induction. And my last tip for moms that are choosing to get induced is to stay upright as much as possible. If a mom's getting induced, she's most likely going to be continuously monitored. And if she's in a hospital that has telemetric monitoring, which will allow her to walk the halls or get in the tub and still be monitored, those are all great ways to be upright and moving. If a mom is attached to a machine, she can still be upright. She can sit on the birth ball, she can stand next to the bed, she can sit in a rocking chair next to the bed. She can be in upright positions and moving around, and this is going to help her baby descend and help her birthing time go more smoothly. So, for a brief recap, ideally a mom will only get induced if she or the baby are not okay. If a mom chooses to be induced, she should ask lots of questions and agree with every intervention before it's done. Remember, take it slowly. It's not a race, it's just encouraging the baby to come out now. I have a wonderful link to some positive birth stories of moms who were induced on the link page. And it can really encourage any mom that does choose to be induced to realize that it can still be an enjoyable birth experience. Thank you for taking the time to listen today to your Enjoy Birth Induction class. I know that this information that you've learned today you can put to use as you talk to your care provider and learn about what their typical routines are. You'll know if they're a good fit for you. And if a mom is in a situation where she is choosing to be induced, it will give her good tips to have a positive birth experience. Remember, with an induction, you get to choose. Take the information you get using the facts and not fear to help make your decision. And then use your intuition. Combining your intuition with the information you have is going to help you know what the best choice is in your situation. Please visit www.enjoybirth.com for more of the Know Your Choices birth series and more information and tools to help moms enjoy their pregnancies and births. Enjoy your birth!